Today, I'm going to be ranking all 4 Duke Nukem games available on the DRM-Free PC gaming storefront Zoom platform. And if I sound different than usual, I have a new recording setup. Anyways, at the time of my writing, there are 4 Duke games on Zoom: Duke 1 and 2, 3D Atomic, and Manhattan Project. Starting things off with my least favorite of the bunch, I might tick some people off here, but it's Duke Nukem 2. Released in '93, Duke 2 is largely considered to be better than Duke 1, but I just could not get into this game. In fact, it is the only game on today's list that I have not beaten because I just could not get into it. Not saying it's a bad game, but I think the reason I didn't care for it was that it felt a bit too hectic, I guess, compared to the first game. And technically speaking, Duke Nukem 2 is a better game in like every way. It looks better, it has better music, it's more advanced, you can look and aim upwards, there are checkpoints in the levels, weapon variety, etc. But I think that's kind of why I prefer Duke 1 over its sequel. The first game is just really chill, straightforward, and pretty simple, and Duke 2 is a lot more advanced. So again, technically the second game is better, but I just prefer the simplicity of the first game. That said, I totally understand if you prefer Duke 2, we all have different opinions, and it's okay to disagree. Also, this game does work well with a modern controller, so I will give it a big positive mark there, plus it is very fairly priced at only $4. And coming in at the number 3 spot, Duke Nukem 1, which is also $4. Released in 1991, this title sees Duke Nukem saving the world from the evil Dr. Proton on his debut game, and the story is told in simple cutscenes. Gameplay-wise, spread out across 30 levels, Duke 1 will have you duking it out with lots of various enemy types. Although most are Proton's robots, and all enemies have their own quirks, I guess you could say. Like, some robots can only harm you with melee attacks, while others have ranged attacks and various health levels. One robot can jump from platform to platform, etc. On the other hand, you have a blaster to fight the baddies with. Unless I missed something, that is your only weapon. Although you can find power-ups that seem to increase your rate of fire and your DPS. Outside of battling Proton's robots, you also fight Proton himself as a boss battle every 10 levels, and his fights are pretty short. Besides fighting, in this game you do things like exploring, grabbing collectibles to increase your score, searching for quest items like color-coded keys, and searching for the exit for every level. And you can only save in between levels, something I did forget to do a couple of times. Anyways, along your journey, you will pick up fancy equipment, like a jump boost, a grappling hook, and more, which were cool little goodies. Graphically, I love this game's art style, and most of the sound effects were good, although there's pretty much no music in this now retro platformer. Duke 1 runs pretty well on modern hardware and can mostly be played with a Xbox One controller, although a few things, like pausing the game and saving, will require a keyboard. And yeah, Duke Nukem 1. Still not my favorite Duke game, but it is a cool little title that I do suggest picking up. Alrighty, onto the number 2 spot, Duke Nukem Manhattan Project. Originally released in '02 and remastered in 2023, this is a very fun and solid 2.5D platformer that comes with both the original and the remaster, so you basically get 2 games for one price. Now this version is exclusive to Zoom platform. It has never been released anywhere else, and it is a must-buy for any Duke fan at a cool $6. This title runs flawlessly on modern hardware with full Xbox One controller support, and it is a blast, having you gun down alien bastards and various mutants with a pretty hefty arsenal of guns. I'm not sure if I had a favorite gun, but the pump action and the MG are a couple of candidates. And this remaster lets you swap out the MG for an Uzi if you'd rather use that. Now, this game does have one annoying quirk in that your weapons share ammo reserves, but as long as you use your bullets wisely, this shouldn't be a big problem. Changing topics, Manhattan Project adopted the ego system from Land of the Babes, in which you earn HP from killing enemies, in addition to collecting health items, and this was a pretty cool feature. Plus, if you collect 10 green nuke logos hidden in every level, you earn a max health boost and your max ammo capacity is increased too, which was very neat. As far as enemy variety goes, Manhattan Project has a very large roster of baddies like pig cops, giant roaches, mutated rats, and more, with lots of creative boss fights. Graphically, this remaster looks great, especially when compared to the crummy Xbox 360 port. It also sounds great, with good music, great voice acting, including John St. John as Duke, and good sound effects. Plus, this game has a lot of the comedy that we've come to expect from a Duke Nukem game. Now, this is not a 360 versus PC comparison vid, but I must say that the PC version fixed one of the biggest issues that I had with the Xbox version, being that on console, the camera is insanely zoomed in, and it is very difficult to see what's around you. And the PC version fixed this by zooming out and actually letting you view your surroundings. And I have done a PC versus Xbox vid on this game, link in the end card if you want to watch it when this video is done. Anyways, this is my second favorite Duke game on Zoom platform, and it even comes with a fan-made expansion. But ladies and gentlemen, it is time to move on to the number one game on today's list.
Making bacon.
Alrighty folks, you already knew what number one would be before you even clicked on this video. It is Duke Nukem 3D, one of the best games of all time. Released in '96, Duke Nukem 3D Atomic Edition is amazing, and I have never heard a gamer say anything bad about this title. It is just an awesome first-person shooter that added a lot of great stuff to the genre. For one, if what I read is correct, this was the first major FPS to introduce being able to jump and the ability to look up and down, things that are staples of like every modern game. Also, Duke Nukem 3D was one of the first games to really introduce voice acting. While not the first game to ever have VAs, Duke really set the bar for what voice acting could do in games. And it was something new for the time, with Duke having his iconic voice, along with lots of memorable lines, even if some of them were borrowed from other forms of media.
Those alien bastards are gonna pay for shooting up my ride.
But a bit more about Duke pushing the boundaries of voice acting in gaming. John St. John has gone on record saying that he was a bit surprised when he was offered the role, and his initial response was, "But video games don't have voice acting," and his producer responded, "They're going to." This is of course a paraphrase, but y'all get the idea. On the topic of sound, this game's legendary soundtrack is amazing, and the sound effects are really spot on. As for the combat, oh yeah, the combat feels really crisp and smooth with lots of iconic weapons at your disposal, like Duke's shotgun, machine gun, RPG, devastator weapon, pipe bombs, and more. This title also has a very strong cast of enemies, like Octobrains, Slimes, Enforcers, lots of great bosses, just to name some of your opponents in this video game. Now, I would like to note that I'm not great at Atomic Edition, since you really need to play it with a keyboard and mouse, something I'm just not very good at personally. I mean, sure, this game technically can be played with an Xbox One controller, but it's clunky to the point that I gave up trying to use it. Of course, I don't hold this against a 30-year-old game. I was honestly surprised that you could play this game at all with a modern controller, but I highly recommend playing this one with keyboard and mouse. Shifting gears, this title looks amazing graphically, and it runs well on modern PCs, and even my non-gamer wife seems to enjoy this game. And of course, you cannot talk about Duke Nukem 3D without mentioning the interactable objects. You can use urinals, pool tables, you can have Duke admire himself in a mirror, just all kinds of neat stuff, in addition to you having really cool power-ups, like a med pack, a jet pack, a hollow Duke used to distract enemies, night vision goggles, and more. But that is not all, folks. This version of the game even comes with six DLC expansion packs, all for the low price of $5.99, versus World Tour, which is like $20 on Steam. But yeah, Duke 3D is my favorite Duke Nukem game on Zoom platform, and possibly my favorite game on the entire storefront, and for only $6. That price is amazing, and so is this game. And yeah, my personal ranking of all 4 Duke Nukem games on my personal favorite storefront for digital PC games. I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments and why you agree or disagree with me and how you'd rank these 4 games. Well, that is it from me for today, folks. Thanks for sticking around and for putting up with my bad voice. It really does mean a lot. For those new here, I mostly review and discuss Xbox 360 games, but I do cover other devices as well, like today. And I do have a lot of Duke Nukem vids in the making, so do feel free to sub if you want to see those vids. And follow me on GameRam for hints at upcoming vids and behind the scenes stuff. As far as our Bible verse of the day, I read Jeremiah 22:15-16 NIV. Does it make you a king to have more and more cedar? Did not your father have food and drink? He did what was right and just, so all went well with him. He defended the cause of the poor and needy, and so all went well. Is that not what it means to know me, declares the Lord? And like always, none of my content is made by robots. I proudly create my own stuff, keep YouTube human, and only support man-made videos. And I never give permission for my voice and likeness to be modified and copied by robots in any way, shape, and form. God bless. Thanks again for watching. Go play some Duke Nukem. Peace.